Hello and welcome to today's Facebook LinkedIn Live. Today I'm delighted because I'm chatting with Leanne Cooper and she is a confidence coach, and we're going to be talking about the 5 habits of confident women at work. As people are logging on, let us know if you can hear us all okay. Give us a like or an emoji. But I'm going to be chatting today with confidence and career coach Leanne Cooper, all about the 5 habits of confident women at work. So thank you so much, Leanne, for joining me today. It's an absolute pleasure to chat with you and learn more about this topic, because I know that a lot of people, suffer from a lack of confidence and imposter syndrome. And I think, the tips you're going to share are going to be hugely valuable to so many people. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. So before I guess we get going into today's topic, if you are all right to give people a bit of an overview as to who you are and what your company does.
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Leanne Cooper and I am a career confidence coach for women, and I help women to be happier, more confident and more fulfilled at work. And I do that in 2 ways. So the first way is working with women directly. So that's through one-to-one or group coaching. But I also love to partner with forward-thinking and inclusive organisations who make it their priority to elevate female talent. So I do that from delivering workshops, training, keynotes and coaching sessions.
Wow, exciting. And have you always been confident?
No, no, I haven't. I'm laughing because I have been on such a journey with my confidence. In fact, actually, if you rewind a few years ago, my life and my career and my confidence levels all were really, really different. So I used to have a corporate job. I worked for a bank for years and years and years, and despite it being a great organisation and working with lovely people, I felt really unfulfilled and really unhappy in the job that I was doing. But I also felt really scared and really trapped as well. I knew, like, deep down that I needed to make a change, but honestly, I just didn't believe that it was possible for me. And I was just so stuck in a rut for such a long time, full of self-doubt, completely lacked confidence in myself. And actually confidence is something that I've really, really had to work on.
Yeah. I guess some people are born confident, do you think? Or
yeah, I think it's definitely situational. I think sometimes we can think that somebody's either confident or isn't confident, and that if you're confident all the time. I think there's definitely times where we can feel more confident in situations and less confident in other situations. But yeah, it does feel like sometimes we all can think of that person at work, Howie, and we think of that person who just, like, everything just seems effortless. Like, we might struggle with something and they're just so confident. But actually, one of the things that we'll talk about today as we get into it is that the gap between that person that you're thinking of, that really confident person at work, and you, is not as big as you think it is, and there's some things that we can do to sort of bridge that gap. So I'm excited to share that with you.
I'm excited. I mean, do you think there's any sort of truth in that fake it till you make it?
I think that it depends with that one. I think you can't wait to feel like you're ready and to feel like you're confident, and that actually the confidence and the feeling ready comes from taking the action. So by going and breaking down a goal and taking some small steps towards it and actually doing the thing, that's when you start being confident. So actually imagining the version of yourself that that you would be if you had that confidence, if you were doing that thing, and start taking small action, starts building up your confidence to get there, definitely.
Okay, I guess it's like a muscle, isn't it? You start. I mean, if it's like at the gym, you don't go in. I mean, I don't know weights, so you don't go in and, like, start with the heaviest weights, do you? I guess you build.
Yeah, no, that's it. I also don't go to the gym, but
I'm like, I don't know what the weights are, whatever weights there are, but
but yeah, I suppose you're right. It is definitely like a muscle, and the more that you work it, the bigger and stronger that it gets. And you wouldn't expect to go into the gym once and, like, lift a weight once and then have a massive bicep, would you? Like, it's something that you need to work on and keep taking action and keep taking action. But the key is definitely to take the action before you feel ready and before you feel confident, because it's actually doing the thing that'll bring you that confidence, as we'll get into.
Brilliant. All right, so we're going to dive into it in a moment. But I mean, I guess you sort of spoke about why you felt unconfident, but why do you think people generally feel unconfident? And is it something that affects women more than men, particularly at work?
Yeah, I think it does affect us women such a lot, and there can be lots of different reasons for that. There's a lot of like confidence crushing things that can happen in our life that can knock our confidence. That might be specific scenarios that might have happened in the past that have knocked us. It might be like a changing situation. So, you know, like if you were away from work for a period of time,
Yeah.
you go back to work, just being absent and not feeling connected with your colleagues can be something that that knocks your confidence. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen in our lives that can knock our confidence. Being out of practice is something like it that knocks it as well. Like, so if you think about like, I know driving is something that I was never massively confident at, but then I got confident because in my corporate role I was driving every day and like for hours on end, like stuck in traffic driving. So I built my confidence up. And then when the pandemic happened and we were all working from home and there was nowhere to go, I just wasn't driving. And then, so then when I did get in the car and went to drive again, I remember thinking, oh God, I actually feel really scared to drive to the co-op.
Yeah.
Like I've lost my confidence. So that can happen as well. There's so much stuff that can knock us, unfortunately.
And I guess with people, you know, with women more likely to go on maternity leave, they're having that break as well from, you know, paid work. And then that was definitely a point when I felt unconfident about my skills and ability and whether I'd forgotten everything. And
yeah, you doubt yourself, don't you? You come back and you take a look around and everybody seems to be flying and you like can't even remember how to log onto your computer.
I know. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You can remember your password. I'm like, I can't remember my password.
Yeah.
That takes hours to get it reset. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So we're going to dive in now to the 5 habits of confident women at work. If everyone's, you know, people are watching this, thanks Afsar for watching. If other people are watching, do let us know your experiences, which one of these resonates with you and how you know, help yourself to feel a bit more confident at work as we're going.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we touched on this a little bit and how lack of confidence can show up for so many of us women, and it can look lots of different ways. So it might be that we don't feel confident enough to set boundaries at work, or even in our personal life. It might be that the lack of confidence to have certain conversations, to advocate for our needs, to speak up in certain meetings with certain stakeholders, to put across our ideas or our suggestions or our opinions, to go for promotions. Like the list is literally endless. And we talked before, didn't we, as well? We can all think about that person at work who seems to make all of those above things that I just said there seem effortless, and we can all be guilty of thinking, oh, I could never be like that, I could never be that confident. And I've definitely had that thought multiple times in the past in my career where I felt like I could never do that, I could never to speak in that situation or come across that way or put myself forward for that or say those things. But I've realised that's definitely not the case, and I'm here to tell you today, anyone who's watching, that yes, you can do all of those things. You can be your amazing self instead of hiding parts of yourself or holding yourself back. You can learn how to communicate in all settings and not be held back by that fear of judgment or that fear of rejection. You can make decisions independently and not second guess yourself and check in with other people all the time. You can say yes to things that feel scary, and you can leave your comfort zone, and you can go after that promotion and all the other exciting opportunities instead of watching everybody else get all the opportunities and you know really that you're good enough for it. And you can sell yourself instead of playing down your skills and your achievements. It is all available for you, and that gap between where you are now and those confident women that you see at work successfully doing the thing, it really, really definitely isn't as big as you think it is. And the good news is that you can start to bridge that gap whenever you want with some really simple daily habits. So as we go through, I'm going to share 5 habits that confident women at work have that you can have as well. You can start adopting these habits sort of straight away. So if you are in a position when you're watching this to grab a pen and paper, after I go through each habit with you, I'm going to set a little challenge. So you might want to make a note of what that challenge is, and then you can go away after watching the live and really like not just watch the live and then go away and not do anything different. Actually watch this and go away and implement some of the stuff that we've talked about so you can really start experiencing those changes. So the first habit that I want to walk you through, habit number 1, is treating yourself with the utmost respect. So confident women know the importance of the relationship with themselves, and they know that one of the quickest ways to supercharge your self-confidence is treating yourself with the utmost respect. And when you treat yourself with that level of respect, you make that shift towards internal validation, and you move away from that need to be externally validated by other people. And a really easy, simple way to start doing this is to keep the promises that you make to yourself. So, you know, if you promise yourself you're going to go for a walk on your lunch break, actually do it. If you promise yourself you're going to get up 15 minutes earlier so you can have that coffee on your own in the morning before the kids wake up, actually doing it. If you tell yourself, oh, you're going to have a lovely long bath tonight rather than a quick shower, actually do it. It doesn't need to be extreme or extravagant. It just needs to be a you-centered decision that you honour daily. And you might be thinking, well, what has that got to do with work? But the answer is everything, because the way that you show up for yourself affects the way that you show up for others. And confident women take care of themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually every single day. So every time that you don't do this, and every time that you put yourself last, you're sending that message to your brain, telling yourself that you don't matter as much as other people, and over time that chips away at your self-worth and at your self-confidence. So my challenge to you, if you're watching this and it's resonating with you, is have a think about what small daily habit you can promise to start doing for yourself today, and how you can make sure that you can honour it. And it can be something really small and really, really simple. So that's the first challenge. And
that's really good. So do you think people should put that time in their diary, 15 minutes? Like,
yeah, I think
basically, or whatever.
Start with 5 minutes, start with 1 minute, but just start. Like that is the important thing. Like, make a promise to yourself and honour it, and make a you-centered choice that benefits you. Nobody else. Do something for you. So yeah, that's the first thing. And if you think about just doing something really small, for change to be successful and for you to be able to facilitate change in long term, it needs to be easy to do. So I don't want you to think of something big and expensive and extravagant, like, yeah, that'd be lovely, but you're not going to consistently be able to do that. What can you do consistently every day that's going to have that impact on you, that's going to make you feel better? You know, whether it's 15 minutes on your own on a morning with a coffee, whether it's going out on your lunch break and actually getting a bit of fresh air, and
not just eating lunch at your desk.
Yeah, whether it's taking that like 15 minutes extra to make yourself something nice rather than just grabbing something quick, and making have a think, what daily thing can you do to promise to do for yourself
that you enjoy doing. That's
good advice. Absolutely. The second thing, we talked about this a little bit earlier, about the feel the fear and sort of do it anyway, and the fake it till you make it kind of thing. I think a really common misconception about confident women is that they're fearless, and that when they walk into those meetings with senior stakeholders, that it's effortless and that they don't have nerves, or when they have a job interview that they don't feel anxious beforehand, or when they start that new high level position that they're completely free from imposter thoughts. And it's not true. It's simply not true. I've coached women at all levels, and I'm telling you now, they do feel fear. But the thing that sets confident women apart is that they take action regardless of the fear, and they don't let that fear and doubt stop them from moving forward. And that's what I would really encourage you to start doing. So it's really important for confidence building that you leave your comfort zone as often as possible. But the key is to go into your stretch zone and not your panic zone. So it needs to, any action that you take, it needs to feel challenging, but not completely unbearable, not horrible. It needs to be challenging. So you might need to build up on your goals one step at a time. So for example, if you want to have the confidence to deliver a presentation in a leadership meeting, the first step might be for you to challenge yourself to ask a question in that meeting, or to answer a question, or to offer a suggestion at the end when anybody says, have you got any other business?
Yeah, and actually put your hand up.
and build up from it. So my challenge to you with regards to this habit is, what is your confidence goal, and what small step can you take today to get out of your comfort zone and get one step closer to that goal? So even if it's just a tiny step, what can you do today? So have a think about what it is that you want to achieve from a confidence point of view, and what is a tiny step that you can take that's going to move you from where you are now to where you want to be. And like I said, it might not be straight in and put your name forward to deliver a presentation, but it might be something a few steps below that. But the key is to step forwards.
Do you think we should be pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone? So we said it's basically important to carve the me time every day, but do you think it's important to be pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone every day?
Yeah, I think leaving your comfort zone as often as possible is really, really important. And it doesn't have to be specifically work related stuff. So you might have a confidence goal to being more confident in a work setting, but actually action that you take outside in your personal life that has nothing to do with work can still build up your confidence, because you're sending that message to your brain that there was something scary. I felt worried about doing it. I did it anyway. I showed myself that I'm capable. Now I can transfer that to another situation and show myself that I can be capable in that situation.
That's really good point. You know, I haven't done it for years, but I used to do running, and I remember doing a half marathon, and we felt unstoppable then.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I've seen posts that you've done before as well about like being a mom and all the things that you achieve from being a mom. And it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? Like you achieve so much and you're so massively out of your comfort zone and you develop all these new skills. And you might think at first glance, well, what's that got to do with work? But actually, loads and loads to do with work. Like all of these skills that you get from being a mum are so transferable. And it's the same with taking action out of your comfort zone. It improves your overall confidence, even if it's something that's not directly linked to that. So yeah, have a think about, if you're watching this and you know you've got a confidence goal, what can you do today, even if it's something really small, that's going to get you one step closer. And I think sometimes we worry about making really big strides, or we can focus on like all of the steps, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't need to think about that. What is the first step? What is the one thing that you can do today? And you'll know what it is if you're watching this and you're actually thinking about it. That thing's just come into your brain. You know what it is, so go and do it. So the next habit of confident women at work is not worrying about being perfect. This is such a tough one, I think, for a lot of us women, and I know for me personally, I have really struggled with perfectionism over the years. But actually what I've come to realise is that confident women don't aim for perfection, and because they know that that'll limit them from achieving the full potential, and they will waste the precious time because it doesn't exist, does it? Perfection just doesn't exist. And instead, actually, confident women, they don't wait to feel ready. They recognise that it's okay to try new things and make mistakes along the way, because it's those mistakes, isn't it, that brings us the lessons, and the lessons bring growth, and growth is a priority for confident women. Confident women also recognise that they don't need to have all of the answers. It's fine to say, great question, I don't know the answer, I'll go away and find out, because they know that not knowing the answer or not being able to give an instant decision isn't a personal slight. They don't have to be perfect all the time. And I think once you realise that, it's so liberating, because you stop putting things off because you don't feel ready. You stop avoiding things because you worry. You're not worrying anymore about it being perfect. And you challenge yourself to take that messy, imperfect action, and you trust yourself that whatever the outcome is, you know that you can handle it. And if it doesn't go well, you know that you'll learn from it and you'll iterate and it'll be better next time. So my challenge for this one for you is, what can you do in your day-to-day where you can show up imperfectly? And again, it doesn't have to be directly linked to work. So I was speaking to a client recently, and she started learning to play the guitar because it was something that she knew that she couldn't do, and it really challenged her, and she really had to push herself because she knew that she wasn't going to be very good at it. It wasn't a natural thing for her, but she started doing that just to prove to herself that it's okay to do things and not be perfect. And I know, like, from my career, like, I had a situation where one of my line managers had said to me, you know that you can do so much more, right? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, you are ready to do so much more than this, but because you know that you can do this job perfectly and never make any mistakes and tick all these boxes and be outstanding, you're not pushing yourself to do anything else, because the thought of you not being outstanding, it scares you too much, and it's massively holding you back. And when I realised, actually, do you know what, there's a whole world out there of possibilities and things that I could do, I might get things wrong, but also if I don't give it a try, then I'm massively limiting myself. It's honestly such an important lesson. It just took me
really good
to learn it.
Someone said on Facebook saying, loving this, so true. Thank you. I think as well, like, the good thing about the COVID actually was when you saw people, you know, corporate people that looked really, you know, quite scary doing presentations, and the kid would walk in or the cat would go across the keyboard. You realise nobody's perfect. And actually it's that imperfection that makes us human and is quite endearing.
Yeah, you're so right. And I remember, like, being quite junior in my career, and like I'd see like people who were senior, and I used to think, oh, they must be so clever and so perfect and never make a mistake. But then you realise that's not the case. That's not the case at all, and that everybody at all levels makes mistakes. So yeah, that my challenge to you would be, where can you show up imperfectly? What can you do today, even though you know that you might not get it perfectly? What can you try anyway? And again, this is all stuff that builds your confidence muscle for you.
It doesn't have to be work.
Yeah. And then the fourth one is the fourth habit of confident women at work is recognizing strength. So despite society doing its absolute best to try and convince us otherwise, it is okay to shine a light on the things that we're good at. In fact, it's more than okay. It's absolutely essential for us women and for our self-esteem and for our confidence to shine that light on ourselves and say, do you know what? I did amazing at that thing. I'm really good at that. These are my skills. And confident women are really great at recognizing their own strengths, qualities, abilities, and attributes, and celebrating them regularly and making sure that other people know the value that they provide. I think so many of us women, we start to think, oh, we'll just get our heads down at work and someone will just tap us on the shoulder and give us a pay rise and tell us well done if we just keep going. No, we need to be able to shout about our value and all of the things that we add. And that's something that confident women recognise, and they also recognise where there's gaps in their ability as well, and they take action to develop where they need to, so that, you know, if you're confident, you say, listen, I'm great at this, but actually this is something that I want to improve on, and I'm going to take the steps to improve it. You don't feel the need to hide it away and hope no one ever notices that you're not good at it. You own it, because you know that you're good enough with your flaws, with your imperfections. You're enough exactly as you are. And also confident, in terms of recognising strengths, confident women also make a point of recognising and acknowledging strengths in other people as well, without feeling threatened, because they draw that self-worth from within. So they don't feel like, if they notice that somebody else is brilliant and they shout about how great somebody else is, it's going to somehow dim their light or take the shine away from them. So it's a really important habit there, is recognising strengths of yourself and other people. So my challenge to you with this one, my challenge to you is to think about how you can create a habit in your busy life of pausing just for a minute and celebrating every day what's gone well for you, or someone else, and shouting about it and sharing it and recognising it and celebrating it.
Do you know who he's coming to mind? You talking about the person is going. People that are watching this from LinkedIn will know who I'm talking about. Is Leah Turner. Because she's really good, I think, at celebrating her success. And I remember once she did maybe a 20K month, maybe like last year. She probably does more than that now. And she was really talking about it. And, you know, and I think as women, we're taught to be quite modest and not to boast. So actually, I love it. I love reading about other people's success, because I think it really spurs me on. It inspires me, and I'm sure it inspires other people, and she's a really good one as well for celebrating other people. So she spoke yesterday about how she used a ghostwriter to write, I don't know if it's on post, write her emails. And I think, she's definitely, she probably suffers on feels unconfident sometimes, but
yeah, no, you're right. I saw that post that she did as well, and you're right. It's so important to be able to do that. And when I work with my clients on a one-to-one basis, like, one of the habits that we set up straight away is that they will check in on a Friday with me and tell me what they're celebrating. And, you know, some weeks they'll be like, oh, I can't really think of anything. And I'm like, no, try again. And they're like, well, this did go well. This did go well. I'm like, what? That's 6 things that you've done this week. That's amazing. Like, they're just out of the habit. When we first start working together, they're just not in that habit of doing that. And I think we're told, like the way that we're brought up a lot of the time, we're told to be like, to be good and to be quiet and to be nice to other people, and nobody likes to show off. And then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you're in a job interview and you're supposed to be like talking about how amazing you are, and it feels really terrible. Like, it feels so hard because you're just out of the habit of doing it. So yeah, I think this is something we need to definitely normalise. And you're right, Leah Turner is doing a brilliant job at it, and I think we can all do more of that, definitely, to celebrate ourselves. So if you're watching this, what habit can you create? Now, it might be that, you know, while you're brushing your teeth every night, you think about the wins of the days and things that you're proud of. You might want to do it sort of once a week, where you have a bit of a roundup of the week, and you make a note of all the things that you want to celebrate. What can you do to make sure that you're celebrating yourself and other people on a regular basis? Because that will build up your confidence muscle. That will send that message to your brain that tells you that you are capable, that you are good enough. It is a really important habit. And then the final habit, number 5, of confident women at work, is Confident women at work take boundaries really seriously, and they know when to say no, and they know not to let other people take advantage of them, because they know that that ability to say no means that they stay in control of their time and energy, and that people pleasing, lack of boundaries will ultimately rob them of their confidence. And this is something that I know from first-hand experience as well, because I used to have a zero boundaries, be a massive people pleaser, and then feel absolutely terrible as a result. So this is a saving yes for when you mean it. And having those boundaries is a really, really important habit for confidence building. So my challenge to you for this one is, which area of your life do you need to implement better boundaries, and what small boundary can you make sure that you uphold today?
Good. Do you know what? That's the one I lacked probably a lot of most confidence, is the boundaries, saying no. And it's how to say no. And I think that's something I think it's the people pleaser. And I think a lot of people find that. Yeah. What tips would you give to somebody how to say no and not feel bad about it?
Yeah, that's something that comes up such a lot, and it's really hard because you can confuse people pleasing with being a kind person, and the lines can be a little bit blurred sometimes, and it really, really is something that a lot of people struggle with. I would say, in terms of setting a boundary, to follow a really clear 3-step process. So the first is to get really clear on defining that boundary. So before you can speak to anybody else about what your boundaries, you need to be really clear yourself on what your expectations are, what you tolerate. And a boundary is basically just a line where you say, you know, anything up to here I'm happy with, but anything above that I'm not happy with. So you need to get really clear on where that line is and what that involves, because that's only fair to the other person that you're communicating it with. If you can't expect someone to meet something if you don't really know what it is. So get really clear. And step one is define that boundary. The next one is to communicate it, and you can communicate that in a way that is not confrontational, and you make it based on you and not on that other person. So you say that you're communicating the boundary because of the way for you, not because that they've done anything wrong. And sometimes what I work on with clients as well is a way that they can communicate that in a way that feels comfortable for them. So not using my language, because that might not be how they speak, but looking at their language and the way that they speak, and putting something together that feels comfortable but is really clear, really concise, and they feel that it's something that they can say to that other person. And then the third step is upholding them. So there's no point defining it, there's no point communicating it if you're not going to be strong and uphold it, and you're going to go back on your word, because that sets a precedent moving forwards. But it is definitely a tricky one. And a really good place to start is actually, before you get involved in boundaries anybody else's, boundaries with yourself and what you will do and won't do, because you can do that effectively without having to involve anybody else.
That's good. So you could say, I'm not going to work past, this is why, I'm bad at this. So boundaries in the evening, I'm not going to work past whatever time, or I'm not going to work on a weekend, or whatever you do. Or
and start small with it as well. Like, so if you are somebody that, I don't know, works every night until 11 o'clock and you want to stop that, it's probably going to be too much for you to say to yourself, right, starting from now, I'm never going to work after 4 o'clock. So you think about like how you can implement it in stages. So you might say, well, actually going to have one night off a week where I don't work, or 2 nights, or I'm going to make sure that I finish by this time, and build up to it. Like, I think that the mistake that a lot of people make with facilitating change is that they try and do things really drastically and set themselves up to fail, whereas actually it's much more successful. Much more successful for you to start small and build on stuff. So yeah, I would say with that one, have a think about an area of your life, think about one specific area, and think about what boundary you can implement today and uphold it. And it might be something really, really small. So if you find that you give away too much of your time to other people and you don't have any time for yourself, you might just decide that actually the step that I'm going to take today is to turn my mobile phone off between 6 and 9 tonight, and not reply to anybody else's messages, and focus on me. It can be as small as that. You don't have to have a conversation with anybody else. You don't have to ask anybody else to do anything. It's just you saying that that's what you're going to do for you. So
Brilliant.
they are the 5
They were
habits.
so good. Sarah says, thank you for 5 great tips and challenges. They're easy to relate to and implement. And Cinziana says, a great conversation. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
for
you so
listening.
much. Oh, thank you so much, ladies. I'm glad that it was helpful for you. I would love to know if you're going to take on these challenges and action steps, how
I'm
you get on.
going to take on loads of them. I thought it's brilliant. I'm going to do a lot of
Oh,
them. So thank you. I'm definitely going to do the boundaries one. What else do you do? Taking imperfect action and the me thing. Because that's
yeah,
important. Because if you, I've had days where it has all been like working the kids, and by the end of the day, I just feel rotten.
you do, and you can't show up for the other people in your life in the way that you want to
No.
because you're absolutely like burnt out.
Yeah, you feel exhausted, don't you? Feel washed out. So this has been
Yeah.
really, really helpful for me anyway. And
Oh,
I'm sure for everybody else. So thank you. So
oh,
how can
brilliant.
people find you, connect with you, and learn more about you and the services that you offer?
Yep. So I am on all the social media platforms, but to be honest, I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I've got a website, so you can check out more about the work that I do, a bit more about my story and how I can support you there. It's youfirstcoach.co.uk, and yeah, so send me a DM if you want to have a chat. There's a couple of ways that I can support you. Starting off free, I've got a free community that I send out weekly self-development support to. So that's different exercises, activities every single Monday, and we focus on a different topic every month as well. This month's topic is fear of failure. So we work on something different every single month. I've got a group program that starts in a couple of weeks. I've got one spot left on that. And also you can work with me on a one-to-one basis. So if you've got any questions or you want to talk about anything, give me a shout.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Leanne, for joining us today. Thank you to everybody that's watched. The replay will be on the website, hopefully the next day or so. If you missed any of our chat, you can watch it back. So thank you so much again and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Take care.
You. Bye-bye.